Sometimes you try to do everything right in your garden. You make sure the plants are hydrated, you make sure they are getting enough sunlight, you fertilize them time to time, you trim them time to time, and they still don't thrive. Sounds familiar? Hi, this is Ruchi. If you think that way, you're not alone. We have all gone through that phase. And the problem lies a little deeper, the soil itself. So when you start to garden, you have made a bed and you bought some fresh soil from the market. It is full of nutrients, so anything you plant in it will thrive. But over months and years, that soil degrades because the nutrients have been absorbed by the plants, or they have been washed away, or the organic material died, or whatever. So from time to time, we have to rejuvenate that soil to make sure whatever you plant thrives. So let's talk about how to rejuvenate your old soil today. As I refresh the soil in different containers, I collect their used soil in this big container. So this big container has used up soil from many different containers. And then when it is about half full, maybe once in a month or once in 2 months, I will add all the amendments to make sure this soil is as good as fresh soil. And to make that happen, you need certain ingredients in your garden. So let me show you what they are. To rejuvenate your soil, you need some basic amendments. So I have 3 categories here. These items, this is vermiculite, this is peat-moss, and this is coco-peat. They make sure that your soil absorbs water. So sometimes, no matter how much water you add, your planters are always dry because maybe the soil is really sandy, it doesn't hold any water. So you need to add one of these. So this is vermiculite. It's in granular form. It absorbs water and nutrient, and because it's granular, it also perforates your soil. So it makes it loose. So it's really good. It's neutral. Then this is peat moss. Again, it absorbs a lot of water and it is organic, but it is slightly acidic. You know, if your plants need more acidity, then this is good. And then we have coco-peat. This is also organic. It absorbs a lot of water, but this is neutral. So if your plant needs more acidic soil, you could use peat moss. Otherwise, you could use coco-peat or vermiculite. Then there is an opposite problem also. Sometimes your soil holds too much of water. It is clayey. You want to have some drainage in it. You don't want your plants to sit in water puddle. So in that case, you want to add either perlite. So again, these are granules. So basically they create space in the soil, so water drains easily. So this is good for indoor plants. It is very, very light. So when you add it to the soil, it doesn't add to the weight, which is good for planters. And if you want to create drainage in your outside beds, then you could use wood chips, half composted or just simple wood chips. So again, because it creates space, it just makes it easier for water to drain away. And also, this is organic. Slowly it will decompose and it will make your soil better. Then the third category is nutrition. So I have compost here, I have phosphorus-rich fertilizer here, and I have balanced fertilizer here. So whenever you are starting to plant something, you should make sure it has a lot of compost in it. If you have fresh soil, that's fine, then it has everything. But if you're using old soil, make sure that you add a lot of compost to it so that it has nutrition. And then when your plants are young, they need to grow a lot of leaves. You want to add balanced fertilizer like this, which is, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, maybe 10-10-10. And once they start to produce flowers or vegetables, you may want to add phosphorus-rich fertilizer like this. So something to hold water, something to drain water, and nutrition. These are the basic things you need, and you don't need all this, right? For example, you could just use vermiculite to hold the water, or you could just use wood chips. So depending on your need, you can decide what you want in your garden. So now let's try to amend some soil. So as I said before, I have a big planter in which I keep collecting used up soil from different places, and then once in a while, maybe once in 2 months or so, I'll add amendments to it and make sure it is as good as new. So let's say this was my soil that is coming from different containers. You can see it has some perlite, it has some granules here, some pebbles kind of thing, and it looks pretty loose. It doesn't look like it is clay, so I don't think I need to add something for drainage. It has actually a lot of perlite. I'll always start with compost. So let's say if there was 1 part soil, maybe 1/4 part of compost. So now I have added basic nutrients to this soil. Now if you are making this soil for planters, because planters have limited space, they don't hold that much water, and especially in summers, if you're growing flowers, they will be out in the sun, the water evaporates quite fast. So you want to add something which holds water, otherwise you'll be watering it morning, evening, every single day, and it's a pain for planters. In the ground, because roots can go deeper and they will find water, it's not that big a problem, and the space is bigger. For small planters, it becomes an issue. So I will add some vermiculite to it, maybe 1/8 or even less than that. So compost will give it nutrition and vermiculite will hold water, because I want to make this soil for small planters in which I will grow flowers. So they'll be out in the sun, so I want to make sure that the soil stays moist for a longer period of time. So at this point, I don't need anything else. If you wanted to, you could add a little bit of balanced fertilizer, but because we have added compost, it's really not needed. So now just mix it up properly and you're done. Your soil is ready. It has organic material, it has vermiculite to hold moisture, and the soil is loose, so you don't need perlite or anything. So you can just start using it. Now, one of the biggest questions people will say is that, what proportion? So it all depends on your soil. Because it's used up soil, I'm assuming it doesn't have nutrients. So I want to add a lot of compost. So 4 part soil, 1 part compost. That's good. There must be some nutrients from the previous time, but I have added, some more compost in it. And if you add more compost, it doesn't hurt. So you can add more compost. And vermiculite and coco-peat and all those things, you add in very little quantity. So if it was 4 part soil, maybe half or 1/4 part vermiculite, and that should be sufficient. Now, if you have very clayey soil in your garden and you want to amend it, so depending on the condition, maybe you want to add 1/3 that soil, 1/3 compost, and 1/3 wood chips. So you have to look at the soil and then decide on it. So if you have any questions about your soil or any other doubts, just write a comment and I'll try to answer as soon as possible. Other important thing is that once you have made up this soil, let's say that big container I showed you earlier, I fix the soil and it's ready to go. Now it's going to take some time for me to consume all that soil. So you have to make sure that that soil stays moist, because it has organic material. If it dries up, that organic material is dead. So the soil becomes useless again. So whenever you prepare the soil or wherever you have organic material, make sure that stays moist. Don't let it dry, maybe cover it up. So I think that's all I wanted to share. Basically, depending on the quality of the soil, Either you add more water retention capacity, or you add more drainage capacity, or you add more organic material to it, or you add more nutrition to it, and you are good to go. So I hope this video was useful to you. If you have any questions, leave me a comment and I'll try to answer as soon as possible. If you like this video, press the like button, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to share it with your friends and family. And I'll see you next time. Happy gardening. Bye.